I'll call this regular council meeting in the Village of Grand Manan to order at 7:30 p.m. With us for prayer this evening is Pastor Ward McComsky.
And we just want to thank you for this day and for the council. And as we gather together, Lord, we realize there are challenging times and big decisions to be made. And I just pray your blessing upon them and grant wisdom, Lord, as they make decisions to the betterment of the island. And just pray, oh Father, today that they'd have freedom to share with one another and to the audience as well. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you. My opening remarks are going to be brief this evening. Just two things that I want to flag for everybody is we're just entering budget time here at council. That's really been the focus for me the past month has been with the Regional Service Commission and their budget, which of course plays into how our budget goes from there. So we're starting that process tomorrow, and you will no doubt hear updates from us as we go on. And the other thing that staff asked me to flag is that after budget time comes Christmas time, and they are once again putting together the calendar of Christmas events. If you're on Facebook, you saw the announcement today that they're looking for everything to be in for November the 1st. So if you have something that you're doing for the festive holiday season, please let the office know, 662-7059. And they'd like them by November 1st so we can get it out the 1st of November so it will cover the full gamut of events. So that's a little flag for that. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Councillor Sturgeon, who has a couple of awards from UMNB that happened this past weekend.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It was my privilege to represent the village at the Union Municipalities of New Brunswick. It's been an exciting year, and this has gone from a small organization in the last 20 years when I started taking part of it to being the voice of the municipalities of New Brunswick, and they've been accomplishing some great things. And you especially notice it at election time that, when you see the political leaders are around a lot, that they really care what we got to say, and it shows that we've got lots of power. And when we all are sharing in that power, and that's a great thing. Part of what the Union Municipalities does every year is that they give out awards for 12 plus years for those who serve us, and we're very appreciative for those people who dedicate that much time plus. And it also shows a good sign of people have confidence in them to give that much time as well to represent them. And I always say that the first term you have there, well, they give you a chance, but after that you earn it. So anyway, it's much to be said. And with that being said, Madam Mayor, I have 2 awards to be given tonight for 12 plus years of service. So I would like to present them. And the first one is to our Honorable Mayor, Mayor Bonnie Morris, for 12 plus years.
Is this a way of saying that I'm old? Thank you.
I'm just saying that you're doing a good job for people have great confidence in you. You show it for 12 plus years. And also as well, I have one here for 12 plus years, Councillor Jane Turner. Once again, very well deserved. Congratulations.
Thank you, Councillor Sturgeon. Thanks to the UMNB. I'm not going to try and say the words because I'll always get them in the wrong order. But they do important work on behalf of the municipalities, and I think that sometimes that's one of those things that goes unnoticed by a lot of people. But I attended a forum that they had earlier in September on the budgeting and the need for fiscal reform, and it's an important thing coming into budget time for all of us. So with that, and thank you for helping fill out my opening remarks section. I appreciate that. We'll move on to item number 4, which is disclosure of conflict of interest.
I have a conflict on item 18-1.
Okay.
I also declare conflict on 18-1.
Okay. Okay. So we have conflicts on 18-1. Anyone else? Hearing none, we will move on to the adoption of the minutes of the regular council meeting of September 9th, and those were circulated in the package.
I'd make a motion that we adopt those minutes.
You heard the motion from Councillor Greenlaw. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Deputy Mayor Fitzsimmons. Question? All those in favor? Contrary-minded? Motion carried. Okay, so we've got a couple of things to do to the agenda tonight. So here's what I have on my list. We'd like to add under new business, under 14.8, it would be a rename of Brook Lane. 14.9, there was an application that came in from a new haunted house committee. Under 17.1, we have 2 additional invoices to pay. One is from AJW Mechanical for the heat pumps for $2,100.19. We also have one from Dutchman Contracting for the Mill Hill paving for $13,725.25. We'd also like to add under 18.4 in closed session under legal for a dog issue. And for existing on the agenda, there is a couple of things that have come up that we think need to be discussed in closed session before we can discuss in open. For 14.4 for the business center, for 19.1 for the hangar update, and as well for the capital borrowing board at 14.7 to move 3 of those into closed session.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to add those as you have read.
Thank you, Councillor.
Designation that you want us to do.
Thank you, Councillor Sturgeon. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Deputy Mayor Fitzsimmons. Question?
Do I have to declare conflict on something that I didn't know? Like,
No.
It's not? Okay.
Any other questions? I lost track of where I was there for a minute. All those in favor? Contrary-minded? Motion carried. Okay, so now we're up to the RCMP report, and we have our new corporal here, Mark Walsh. And so we'll just invite you up to the podium, and we will, you've got a report for us, I hear.
Maybe. We'll see.
Maybe?
Good evening, Mayor Morris and council. Thanks for having me. My name's Corporal Mark Walsh. I've just moved to the island here in mid-August, and so you're going to be lucky to have me for the next 3 years. I guess it's going to be opinionated though, right? So I've got 22 years of service into the RCMP. I've spent my first 12 and a half years in St. Stephen, so really Grand Manan is really not a stranger to me. My wife is from Charlotte County, and I have come here back in 2000s to early up to as well as 2015 on and off the island for doing some relief. So basically this is my 6th posting, and knock on wood, be my last. So I can't think of a better place to kind of finish up my career. So in regards to that, we're fully staffed here now at Grand Manan with 4 members, and we'll have 1 out due next summer, but we got 3 basically starting here now for the next 3 years. So we're good that way, and I think that in my opinion right now, having just worked with the members now for the last month, I think I have a good team here now. There was as I'm slowly trying to get into the grasp of things, I find that I guess the RCMP economics on this island is quite good. I'm very pleased with how things do work on the island in regards to crime and being able to resolve certain issues. I think that the island of Grand Manan is very fortunate for what we do and don't have here in certain respects. One thing I will mention, and really the only other thing I want to mention in here, is that what I am seeing a increase amount of is fraud. The only thing I could say with fraud is that it's not an easily resolved or solved investigation. Most fraud reported cases become unsolved, unresolved, and a significant loss of money. things such as Apple cards, Google cards, cryptocurrency. We are seeing people losing thousands of dollars to this stuff. I will pass on, and I've already mentioned to Mayor Morris, a message of thanks and acknowledgement to the independent grocery here in town. There was a recent time where an elderly person of the community had went into the store and wanted to purchase 3 Apple cards to the tune of $500 each to a person that was waiting on the other side of the phone for those numbers. Once those numbers are passed off, money's gone. There is no getting that. There's no getting that money back. There's no tracing it. And that stuff happens all the time. Things like this come out of threats and coercion by phone numbers such as, you know, your grandson has been locked up, or there's going to be an arrest warrant by the RCMP. All I can ask is that if a family member of the community sees a loved one that may be going down that road and maybe to go to get these gift cards or seeing this money being spent, that they have a talk with them, and if they are not able to help them out, then get us involved, and we would do what we can to also help with that education process to stop this from happening. There's all sorts of scams, and they just become more and more brilliant every day. So again, I wanted to talk about the frauds, but I also want to pass on that one message of thanks to one of the local businesses.
Thank you very much. I would echo that. I think that it's a very scary thing, and it's easy to see how quickly that you can fall down that hole. So I think they're to be commended at the Independent for picking up on it and speaking out and stopping it before it got any further. So thank you for that. Any questions from anybody?
More of a comment, Madam Mayor, than anything else. The first time I ever heard of the grandchild scam, you know, where they claim that they're in trouble, such as happened to my father, like several months before I even heard it on the news. And it's important to note with AI, they can make it sound like it's the real loved person that you're talking to. And my daddy's pretty sharp, but he said, you know, you say you're Blake, you sound like Blake, but you know what? You're not Blake. I'm going to hang up now. And he says, oh, you'd hang up on your grandson? Certainly not. But you know, my grandson has a pet name for me, and you haven't called me that yet once. So goodbye. But just to add that story, Madam Mayor, just how realistic it really does sound. And also, I would just like to pass on Corporal Walsh that Councillor Graham Milner of Sussex says hi.
Oh. Retired Milner.
Yes.
He's a great fellow.
Anyone else? I just want to say thank you for coming tonight. Welcome to the island. We know that a lot of other municipalities don't have RCMP attend, and we do appreciate it when you guys can come to give us an update on what's going on, because I think it gives us a better handle on what is happening in the community. And if there are things we can do, please reach out, and we want to be partners as much as we can as well.
Appreciate you having me.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Okay, no business arising from the minutes, so then we'll move on to, we move the old business into closed session, so that moves us up to our 10-minute open session. Hearing no one, we'll move through the next two on to item number 13, which is correspondence. 13.1 is a letter to council from Greg Russell, and he's asked that a letter be read. So, and I think that was in everybody's packages as well. So it's a memo to council dated October 1st, 2024 regarding the Graham and Ann Garden Homes. I have lost faith in local government for two main reasons. One, the developer has made significant investment to date without anything being approved. There is a rumor going around that 4 units are taken. I know this is Graham and Ann, where rumors are one of our largest form of entertainment. Time will tell on this. And 2, the reception I received at the recent PAC meeting. I request I be included in any meeting on the subject of this development. I am prepared to do anything legal to protect my home. Greg Russell. I do just want to add, because Mr. Russell was here at open session last month, and just if anybody had questions about what was said then in this letter, his concern, I believe, is regarding water, which is a provincial responsibility, and that contact information has been passed on to him, and I believe it was considered by PAC as well. So just so people are aware, we haven't completely dismissed or not listened to what was said. I think I'll leave it at that. It's probably better. Okay. Moving on. Any questions or comments on that? Okay. Hearing none, moving on to new business. 14.1, application for donation from the Grand Manan Legion. We had a presentation from them last month as well, and so we suggested that they make 2 applications for donation, one to put the banners up, one to take the banners down, so it's for $200 each. Questions or comments? Heard the motion from Councillor Sturgeon. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Councillor Greenlaw. Question? All those in favor? Contrary-minded? Motion carried. 14.2, Airport AWAS upgrade.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This will be short and sweet. Unfortunately, I had an email this morning which pretty much removes this off the table. But just to give you a bit of a background, we had roughly $120,000 left over from our airport resurface project, which is still on the table. So RDC, who administers the federal and provincial money, reached out and wanted to know if we would like to do any type of change of scope of the project to try to use that money. Some of you, we may have mentioned this before, the current AWAS system at our airport isn't really sufficient for the planes coming in and out. It doesn't have the information that they're looking for. They have nothing on visibility and ceiling. So I had gotten a quote some time ago to upgrade that. So we had initially asked the federal agency that's responsible if they would accept as a scope change, which is why I put this on the agenda tonight for council approval. But an email this morning saying that they did not approve that, so it's off the table.
Questions or comments? Councillor Sturgeon?
I'm kind of curious why they wouldn't. It obviously has got something that's almost pretty much required, isn't it? I mean,
Just bear with me here. I'll see if I can find what he actually said. So he basically said, "Good morning, Chris. Based on the feedback received from management at RDC, they are not supportive of the weather observation system as a scope change for the project. They would prefer the remaining funds be used towards phase 2 soft costs, example, preliminary design, EIA registration, consultation, etc. Apologies for the inconvenience."
Anyone else? Okay. 14.3 is dyslexia awareness. Some of you may have seen, I think they're out in the entryway. Fundy, the rural community of Fundy Shores, I think I've got that correct, is they presented to each of the municipalities in the region 4 wooden fish, and they're out in the entryway, and it was a presentation they had received from someone in their community to raise awareness of dyslexia. October is Dyslexia Awareness Month. October 8th is International Dyslexia Day. There are 4 fish. The red one is for Market Red for Read October Dyslexia Campaign. Turquoise is for the October 8th International Dyslexia Day. Gold is for our little goldfish waiting to shine, and then the added green is for hope that we will do better. Basically, the fish were a gift just to raise awareness of dyslexia, which I thought was I thought the fish were really cute anyway. So I said I would raise it here at our October meeting, and if it's the wish of council, we could declare or recognize October 8th as International Dyslexia Day for the Village of Grand Manan. Questions, comments, or thoughts?
Madam Mayor, were they looking for any donation or anything in that
No,
regard?
it was simply a gift and simply to raise awareness of dyslexia. So I think by talking about it, we've done that. You guys all have the information there in your package. So the fish will be up in our entryway if anybody wants to have a look at them coming or going. All right, we've moved 14.4 into closed session. So that moves us on to 14.5, transfer station transport trucks, CAO Rayner.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Unfortunately, this one's going to be quick, too. This was something that come up in one of our finance and property meetings last week to discuss the current situation with the truck at the transfer station. I've reached out trying to get some pricing on some different options on either fixing or replacing that truck, but it's taken a lot longer than expected to get those numbers. So anyway, I'll continue to work on that and pass that on just as soon as we have that, so we can try to get this result as soon as possible.
Thank you. Questions or comments? Okay, 14.6 is also the CAO, phone lines for island-wide issues.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I had a visit late last week from a very concerned senior who said that they are in week 2 of not having any landline connection to their house. His wife had spent the entire week on the phone trying to get through to someone to express the urgency of not being able to have a phone line. The earliest they told them that they could have a technician on Grand Manan was October 21st. So I agree. I said that wasn't acceptable. So I immediately put this on the agenda for discussion. But since then, I reached out to Kevin, who is filling in for Rhonda, our EMO coordinator, to say, this is what happened. I know that they learned a lot of valuable lessons in the December storm last year about people being cut off and not being able to call for help when they needed it, and asked if they had any inside connection to Alliant or whoever, NBTEL, whoever that is now. And he said they absolutely do. They have a direct connection. He would reach out to try to expedite it. He said, is there anyone else that you know of? I gave him the example of our AWAS system at our airport. We had to go to internet because the phone line was so bad, pilots were not able to call in anymore. It's aging infrastructure, salt, everything that's causing the issue. But so what I did was I passed on the contact information for the gentleman that was in and said the best thing to do would probably be to call him, because he seemed to think that there was others that had no landline as well. So.
Councillor Green?
This reared its head a few months ago on Facebook. I contacted the person, gave them the number, and within 2 days they had a technician here. So if this rears its head again, if you want to reach out, I can probably find some people that would be more responsive than October 21st.
Thank you for that. Anybody else? Okay. Capital Borrowing Board, we moved into closed session, so that's 14.8 is Brook Lane rename, and I think that that's in our council package.
It's in the new one. It's left in front of everyone.
Okay. That's this one.
Yeah.
Okay. So the background is in 2004, a private access subdivision was approved north of Woodward's Cove. The subdivision created a branch off of the then existing Ragged Point Road. That branch was and currently named Brook Lane. Ragged Point Road accesses directly onto Route 776. The 2004 plan of the subdivision also created and named a further branch off of Brook Lane known as Drake Drive. Only Drake Drive currently has any building lots, homes fronting on it today. Brook Lane does not have any homes fronting on it. Because delivery drivers and emergency vehicles have to first travel over Brook Lane to get the addresses on Drake Drive, it creates an unnecessary wayfinding problem. The Village of Grand Manan staff have asked the Southwest New Brunswick Service Commission planning staff to come up with a recommendation. And that recommendation is that as a civic addressing planning principle, it's not ideal to have a network of private lanes branching from one another as navigation and wayfinding can be more difficult than with publicly maintained roads. Therefore, it is SNBSC's recommendation to council that we request NB 911 to eliminate the unnecessary road name Brook Lane and incorporate it into an extension of Drake Drive. That way, when delivery drivers or emergency vehicles are searching for an address on Drake Drive, they will more easily find it after turning onto Ragged Point Road off 776. And you can see the attached maps. And so there's 2 suggested recommendations there for potential motions. So questions or comments from council? Councillor Green?
Madam Mayor, how does, I left my glasses home and this is a very faint copy. How does that address the T portion at the end so that you know whether to turn left or right when you get at the bottom?
Both, quite honestly. Yeah, I think I get what you're saying, but I'm not really sure how it addresses that part of it. That wasn't part of what we had talked about. I'm not sure as staff. Questions? Anyone else? Do we want to accept the recommendation? Do not authorize the change? Not accept the recommendation? Or do we want to look into this more ourselves?
It probably would be the simplest thing to do, wouldn't it, Madam Mayor?
Which?
I mean, like to follow the recommendation of the Southwest Service Commission.
I think so. I mean, my basic understanding of it is because there's nobody on Brook Lane, it means that nobody has to change their address.
Perfect.
It just eliminates
Yep.
a lane that goes to another lane where people actually live.
Yep.
If that
Well,
makes sense.
With that being said, Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to accept the recommendation of the Southwest Service Commission.
You heard the motion from Councillor Sturgeon. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Deputy Mayor Fitzsimmons. Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Okay, application for donation, that's the next one in the package, and that is for the community haunted house. We have traditionally supported this in the past. They are just getting organized, but it's usually a fun event for the kids, so they are requesting $200, which is our donation amount, and they've raised over 200 so far, and I think they're going on for some more beyond that. Questions or comments? Councillor Toll.
I'm just wondering if they have given any plans of what they're planning to do, how they're planning to do it, and where. Like, I know it's early, but I think it's great that they want the money, and I don't see a problem with that. I'm just wondering how they're gonna do it with, like, any idea at all. Did they have come forward with any kind of plan, now that they're taking it over?
I believe the clerk has talked to them.
Yeah, one of them lives close to the community center. They plan to do it at her house, and they want to use the pavilion earlier on in the evening for something for the smaller children, so that it's not so right next to all the spooky stuff, and then they'll have it there in the evening, so.
Anyone else? We have a motion and a seconder, right? I did that part? No? Okay.
I'd make a motion to accept it.
Thank you. Thank you, because I'm apparently already there. So, moved by Deputy Mayor Fitzsimmons, seconded by Councillor Greenlaw to make the $200 donation. Sorry about that. Any questions? Not anymore, huh? All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Sorry about that. Okay, so that is the new stuff. And now I've lost my agenda. Oh, got it. Okay, so now that moves us through to approval to pay invoices from the general operating fund. Island Home Hardware, the September statement is $5,944.30. Jet Ice for arena paint for $2,673.15. McDeckles for signage for $1,805.50. Uline for market tables for $3,612.16. AJW Mechanical for the heat pumps for $2,100.19. And Dutchman Contracting for Mill Hill Paving for $13,725.25.
Didn't notice the McDeckles thing.
Oh.
I'll you vote on that.
Okay. Sorry about that, okay. I thought I'd misread a number, which is like my fear as I'm going down that list. Okay, so you've heard the list of invoices to be paid.
I'll make a motion that we pay these invoices out of the general operating fund.
You heard the motion from Deputy Mayor Fitzsimmons. Do we have a seconder?
I will second it.
Seconded by Councillor Toll. Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Okay, the next item is closed session, which we're going into for 4 things. Personnel, fitness center, arena cleaning, financial for the transfer station, financial for the pavilion. 5 things. The business center, financial, and legal for the dog issue. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to go into closed session.
Seconder? All those in favor? Aye. Oh, and the capital borrowing board, I missed that one too, sorry.
Who's our seconder? Who's two?
Councillor Greenlaw. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Thanks, everybody. I'll recall this regular council meeting back to order. It's 9:25 PM. We were in closed session to discuss a number of issues, which I'll go through in order and with our response as we go. First up was 18-1 personnel for fitness center and arena cleaning. And so our 3 people with conflict of interest, I'm gonna ask them to step out while we do this motion. Please and thank you. All right. Okay.
Okay. Madam Mayor, I would like to make a motion that we accept the lowest bidder pending vulnerable check, and also that we have a discussion with them on flexibility and hours.
You heard the motion from Councillor Sturgeon. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Councillor Greenlaw. Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Okay. Thank you. Okay, 18-2 was financial for the transfer station. We talked about some options around the redemption center and looking at potential e-transfer, and so staff is going to proceed with that as whatever the best option we can come up with. 18-3 was financial, the market pavilion. We had covered an overrun on the cost of that. They have been paying it back, and the suggestion was that we will forgive, there's $3,500 left, and they would put that towards the purchase of tables for here at the community center that they use for markets and are also used for other community events. So that was that discussion. 18-4 was the business center. That was a property issue. No. Oh, I had that, sorry, it was 18-5. Sorry, I flipped them. Yeah, sorry. But, yeah, sorry. We're gonna do the business center first, yep.
Okay. To better utilize the space at the business center, I'd like to make a motion that we put out requests for proposal to better utilize that space to meet the community needs.
You heard the motion from Councillor Green. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Councillor Sturgeon. Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion. Motion carried with one opposed. 18.5 was legal for a dog issue, and that was an update on a couple of items there. 18.6 was an update on the hangar, which is proceeding along. There is some concern, given some of the supply chain issues, that we may run into a cost overrun. The Capital Borrowing Board, which leads us into 18.7, is meeting this week, and so the suggestion was that we may need to, if we need to obtain additional funds, it's easier to ask now than to be held up during the project for financing. Because we're doing this does not necessarily mean we need this money, it just gives us the opportunity to fall back on it should with that situation arise. We'll continue to do whatever we can to ensure that it comes in as per our original budget, but just to have a little bit of a buffer. So with that, I'm looking at the Deputy Mayor.
Be it resolved that the local government of Grand Manan submit to the Municipal Capital Borrowing Board an application for authorization to borrow for a capital expense for the following term and amount. Transportation services, airport hangar construction, cost increase of $1 million over 10 years.
You heard the motion from Deputy Mayor Fitzsimmons. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Councillor Green. Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. I got everything from closed session now? Okay.
Hope so.
So our next regular council meeting will be here on November 4th at 7:30 p.m.
I'd make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, for sticking with us. Thanks, Dan. Good night.